let's continue my commentary. Putting the meaning of Yeshua's teaching about fasting aside for a moment, because I'm not going to focus on that so much in this commentary. The question on the table for discussion today, I say in my commentary, is to what exactly are his comments about the patch and the wine referring? That's mainly what I want to know. When you read through the parable or the story, the statement, what is he talking about? I say in my commentary, does this passage mean what most Christian commentaries teach, and we're going to find out what they teach, which is that Judaism and Christianity are mutually exclusive religions? Remember, most theologians on the Christian side of the family, of the Christian side of the discussion, have been taught over and over again, and this goes all the way back to the early first, second centuries. I mean, this is a very, very early thought process that began, right? If we're describing that snowball again, it started snowing very early on in this discussion about Judaism v. Christianity and replacement theology and things like that. Very, very early on, the early Gentile Christian church began to try to speculate what is the usefulness of Judaism, the Tanakh, and the people of Israel now that Jesus has come and demonstrated who he is in God's plans, now that the Gentiles are being established, now that it is evident that Israel is rejecting this gospel message that's going forth, right? Paul laments over and over, especially in Romans, how that Israel has has a zeal for God, but not according to knowledge, and that if he could trade his own salvation for the salvation of Israel, he would do it, right? I think Romans chapter 9 is where he has those thoughts. And he tells us so. So he still has this great love for Israel, but he realizes that she's partially blinded, right? Her blindness is in part, and it's until the fullness of the Gentiles comes in. So on the one hand, he's blessing God for the Gentiles being brought into the picture. But on the other hand, he's just in agony because his people, according to the flesh, right, his national countrymen, have rejected the gospel, and they've rejected Jesus as the Messiah. And that rejection remains to this day. It's no secret. Ask your average Christian, do Jews believe in Jesus? No, of course they don't. Go to the synagogue side of the house, ask the rabbi, do Jews believe in Jesus? No, of course we don't. They'll tell you. So the blindness persists down to this day, and so it's natural for us to come to a conclusion, like many in Christianity have, that if Israel was on board with this program, if Israel's not been done away with, then why hasn't God opened their eyes after all this time? 2,000 years, the temple's not been rebuilt. 2,000 years, Israel has still not accepted Messiah, and yet country after country embraced Christianity as religion and Jesus as Messiah, as Christianity grew and spread around the world. Now it's the main religion in the world, if not maybe Islam is a close second. I have to go back and look at the latest polls. So is Yeshua teaching this very thing when he's talking about the old wine, the new wine, the patches of cloth that you sew together and things like that? What is it in this little story that should grab our attention? I say in my commentary, are Judaism and Christianity incompatible with one another? So if you stop and ask that question, ask your average Christian, is Judaism a religion that you would embrace? Most Christians would probably say, I'm not sure, or just outright no. Or they might say, I never gave it any thought. It's just not something I was really raised with as an option. If you ask your average Jew, would you ever consider embracing Christianity and Jesus as the Messiah? You're probably going to get a resounding no. That's a religion for Gentiles. I'm a Jew. That's not my people's religion. That's not my belief system. And then there's all sorts of theological pushback against considering Jesus as Messiah, right? He claims to be God. He claims to be divine, et cetera, et cetera. So there's just a lot of distance between Judaism and Christianity as religions, right? It's no secret that the two religious groups have kind of mutually respective differences of opinion towards the other person's theological beliefs and the possibility of there being any joining and things like that. In other words, it really seems like they're incompatible with one another. Let's keep reading my commentary. So I say, let us examine this topic and see if prevailing Christian teaching in this area is biblically accurate, right? I'm not going to just go on record and say that everything that Christians teach regarding this issue is flat out wrong and you guys just need to correct everything, throw out all of that theology that's bad, and let's just change everything. That's not what I'm saying. Replacement theology, even dispensationalism, as I was reviewing covenant theology versus dispensationalism this week in preparation for this study, there's a lot of truth in dispensational theology, a lot of good, solid hermeneutical principles that drive Bible study that I agree with. Covenant theology is a little less so. Covenant theology, I'll explain it a little later. I'm not going to do it right now, but covenant theology has kind of a more weaker argument, in my opinion. But you don't want to throw out all of Christian teachings, right? Christian theology is not entirely wrong. To be sure, I want to say this very plainly so it's on record so that people are not misunderstanding what I'm teaching. The main and central tenet of Christian theology is that those first 5 letters, Christ. I guess that's 6 letters, right? I can't count. Christ. Christ in Christianity or Christian. Christ is the foundational aspect of Christianity that is right. Absolutely, foundationally, unquestionably accurate. Christ, right? Christ in Christianity is right. In other words, Judaism missed it. They got it wrong there. They are wrong. Christ is the Messiah. Jesus is the Messiah. And they have missed him. They have misunderstood him for the last 3,500 years. And so if that were all that were at stake is who is the Messiah, well, then I'm going to take the side of Christianity, right? I don't believe that Judaism's view on the Messiah is accurate. They have missed it. To the degree that they're still looking for the Messiah, well, then praise God, right? I mean, at least they're looking. Many Jewish people simply become apathetic and they're not looking anymore. But as we're going to continue having these discussions on Judaism versus Christianity, we're going to keep drawing from what is right about Christianity, what's right about Judaism, and what aspects we need to examine again as we seek to be more accurate in our own theological positions and seek to be more pleasing to God in our lifestyle.